Welcome back, Rage Nation. Got myself Pete here.
That's not really exciting.
You got Senior Dixon.
I don't think that's appropriate.
And you got Monsieur Leopard.
Explorers deserved it. No.
Absolutely.
I was disgusted. I cannot believe they've done this.
Why is wacky? Why is that good? It's just nonsense.
I disagree on that. That's not possible.
We're getting the band back together. We're on a mission. Yeah.
Now we've got a whole new list of things to complain about.
Welcome back, Rage Nation. We are at it again. Got myself Pete here, and we are getting down and dirty with the Rezzers again. We decided to, do another Rezzer episode. We're going to be talking about Molly today and the forgotten keyword, and we are inviting back on Maniacle Cackle. So, Cackle, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Had a good enough time making Dixon's life miserable on the last one.
Oh, yeah. That's what I live for.
Yeah. Both of you just cancer me. Just give me cancer from every direction.
Yeah, and we're definitely excited to bring more Rezzer content. It's one of those factions we haven't concentrated as much on when I look at the grand scheme of things and how much content we've made for different factions and keywords. So definitely glad to be giving some more of that out to the community. Maybe not so much if you don't like Rezzers.
And as much as I put hate or whatever on the keyword and saying about the cancer stuff, that's just me being silly, me being Dixon, right? Because one of the things that I appreciate about Cackle, and I kind of alluded to this when we were talking about before the show, is he made a master that is thought of as a weak master look ridiculous. So we know for a fact that if played well, and she doesn't really have that many weaknesses, Molly can be played at the higher tiers of the game.
Oh yeah,
and crush people.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and if you just want to look at that, I mean, there's a great game. Well, there's a lot of great games that Maniacal you've played with Molly in the World Series where you're playing in championship games with her. So she definitely has a lot of play.
Yeah, for sure. There's some areas where she has some weaknesses, and those weaknesses were more common in GG3, which we can talk about later.
Yep.
But for the most part, I feel comfortable playing her into 95% of situations, and she's just a very, very good generalist master.
Yeah, and before we get into talking about her specifically, though, make sure that you guys are checking us out. You can do that on Twitter. Specifically, we got a lot of YouTube content coming out, which you get to see my journey into figuring out these Rezzer keywords. I played Yan Lo on the last battle report. Dixon played Tull, and people got to see me misplay Treacherous Path and forget a lot of the Forbidden Knowledge upgrade text. So you get to see me fumble through that a bit. So
mind you, we both misplayed it because you basically got all the bonuses, none of the negatives of Treacherous Path.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where I think seeing people play freshly into a keyword, because when we do our recordings, we're just ripping it, right? Dixon and I aren't planning anything out. We don't have 100 reps with the keywords that we always pick. So I think it's good for people to see us make mistakes and just kind of fumble through the keyword a little bit, so they can kind of see oh yeah, this is kind of how you develop that game and figure out how you don't miss your triggers or don't miss your auras and abilities.
Oh yeah.
You can also check us out on our Discord. I am starting to put the link for our Discord channel in all of the stuff we post now, so you can just join that way. A lot of good conversations happen on there. You can get advice, just lots of good things. And then finally, if you want to support us directly, you can join us at patreon.com/RageQuitWire. You can support us for as little as $1, and you can get the content usually about a day early. I got the next episode is coming out tomorrow, so patrons will get that first. And then you can also join the live chat while we record this stuff. So when we have people like Maniacal on, or if you want to ask Dixon or I a question, we actually answer it while we're recording, and then that'll make the episode. So as a patron, you get to be a part of the fun. And then finally, if you buy stuff from Weird directly, you can use our affiliation link at Give Us Your Money Please, thankyou-weird.com/RageQuitWire. And a small chunk of that goes to the podcast, so Pete can keep spending more money than he has on Rezzer stuff.
That's just funny.
Yep. So, Dixon, I'm going to start with you because you do have games against Molly. There's some people who don't, because like you said, there's a lot of good keywords in Rezzers that I think people flock to. I mean, Transmortis is one of them. I think Daw is another. Like you were saying, I think Seamus is probably the most popular one, if I'm going to be real. So why don't you kind of just say, like, with your experience playing against Molly, what do you think of when somebody plays her, and what are some of your experiences on the gal?
Actually, well, I just recently, I want to say like 2 days ago, a day or two ago, I had a game against a Molly player that was not you or Cackle, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, he's in the chat. Hi, Oracle.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. Well, bear with me. Oracle saying, lol, he kicked my ass. I was like, yeah, sort of. It wasn't necessarily that I kicked. Yeah, it wasn't necessarily that I kicked his ass. It was the fact that it was his first game on the clock.
Oh, gotcha.
And there's that extra pressure. So I knew the matchup. I knew what I had to kill. And I had good clock discipline.
Okay.
And that was basically the main difference. Because, like, he clocked himself out when I still had, like... I was at 37 minutes, and he was, like, already clocked out. So you can see the difference there.
Okay.
Yeah. So, what do I think about whenever I play against Molly? Basically, do they have Archie? If yes, kill Archie first. Because if you don't kill Archie, the game just devolves real fast. And the thing is that a good Molly player forces Archie to be like the first or the last activation of a turn.
Is there a situation, Maniacal, where you don't bring Archie? I don't see any reason to not bring him when you're in keyword.
So I've played hundreds of games with Archie. I skipped bringing him once, and I lost that game.
That's fair. Like I just don't see like a reason why you wouldn't want to bring him, because even in if the keyword you're playing against has a lot of things that make life difficult for Archie, he can still just be like a brutal scheme runner. Like he can just go scheme and just like kill anything that comes near him. It's just I don't see a lot of negative reasons to just be like, oh yeah, I'm not going to bring Archie. It's like, no, you know.
I want to point out, in that game against Oracle, it took 4 models, 2 turns, and one of those activations being a master, and all 4 of those models were basically ruthless. So it was not like a simple thing.
Just curious, what did you play, Dixon?
It was Lucius too, because we were playing plant. Yeah, we were playing plant explosives. So plant explosives. I'm playing Guild Lucius too.
It took Lucius that long to kill him.
Yeah. Turn 1, he went into him, laid him off into like 6 health. Then
I gotta share this real quick because it is the best interaction with Archie I've had so far, and we'll get into Archie more. But this is just it popped right in my head. I have to share it. I was playing against Trevor, who we just had on, and he was playing Anya, so he brought Corvus Rook. So if you haven't played against Corvus Rook in a while, Corvus Rook makes you discard a lot of cards. Corvus decided to engage Archie, and he did I think he did like 6 damage to Archie. I'm like, cool, I'm going to punch, you in the face now. And he was like, you have to discard a card, otherwise you're at a negative. I was like, oh, this is super sweet. I'm going to discard this moderate, heal 2, punch you, discard another moderate, heal you, punch you. I was like, I think I healed about 8 to 10 points of damage off of my interactions with Corvus. It was
and he still had
stupendous.
to cheat. Yeah, he still had to cheat because if you hit on negatives, it's still bad. Yeah, I've been on this side too. It's painful.
Yeah, I was just, and then he didn't execute as well, and I was like, okay, I'll discard this card to heal 3.
Yeah, I wasn't that Corvus Rook player, but as soon as you said Corvus Rook, I started laughing because I know this.
So, good.
Our experience of that is my opponent got Archie down to 1, and often Archie survives on 1 life to go cause shenanigans. And he had Hannah Lovelace, who has counter spells, so I just went and attacked her a bunch and kept declaring triggers, and I healed up to 9 life.
Yep.
The next activation I did was Molly, who draws cards when your hand's empty, so it was just a total combo of, my hand's nothing but bad moderates, into, I've redrawn into this great hand.
This is so painful to hear.
Yeah. What do you think, Maniacal, is Molly's just general strengths? Like, what are some reasons why you might reach for her instead of another Rezzer Master, just getting generally into her?
In a word, it's flexibility. I think the reason a lot of people stay away from Molly is that she doesn't have any that's like obviously overpowered or obviously really strong enough to abuse that you can just keep using over and over. Say when you're playing like Nekima 1, her game plan is pretty straightforward. She punches you with her sword over and over. So what Molly's strength is she always has the correct tool for the job, and she can always just do the thing that you need to do to solve a problem or to address a situation. And that's true in both list building and in gameplay, where she's just hugely flexible and can always do what you need.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I
because
thought it was just a card draw.
Yeah, and
I liked your answer.
the
better.
card draw is really good, but I think the best example I saw of that was I watched one of your games, Maniacal, and it was against Terra, and I think just accidentally in that game, you were like, I don't want fast on my models. Oh, I can put slow on my own models from my own actions to then get rid of that, so that way I don't, have something unbury next to my crap.
My God, that's genius. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I think in the game, you were like, oh, Philip and the nanny's actually pretty decent here.
Yeah, and funnily enough, Sloth bonus action is another tech for Rezzers against Tara. The Sloth bonus action giving slow is also removes fast in that matchup, which is pretty funny.
Yeah, our last conversation we had, Maniacal, made me buy the Crossroad 7s box just for Sloth.
Yeah, fair enough. I ended up 3D printing a sloth mini, and so it's like a literal sloth animal is my sloth mini.
That's adorable.
That's hilarious.
So let's go ahead and kind of start getting into this a little bit, and we'll start with both the original master and then her title. So I think we'll probably spend more time on the original. To me, that's kind of the more interesting version of Molly, but I am curious to hear your thoughts about the title as well. So getting into the master, one, I think either version of Molly, but definitely the original, you're going to see a ton of just card manipulation. So she has a lot of things on her card and throughout the crew that are going to have you discard cards. But then at the beginning of her activation, she's also going to draw up to whatever your opponent has. So you get some card draw in there. And then I think something that's just great in this era of Malifaux is she has Lost Knowledge. So that allows you to remove any kind of marker to draw 2 cards. So
She
you
was the first to.
yeah, you kind of spew out your cards, you redraw them, you use them for other things, and then you can remove markers to draw more. So you can really create these kind of cute little card draw engines with her, which just allows Molly 1 to be very, I think, very consistent and very deadly in a lot of situations.
Yeah, if I agree with your analysis, I prefer Molly 1 most of the time, but Molly 2 does have some really good uses, and especially this Gaining Grounds, I can imagine I'll pull her out like 1 in 4 games or whatever, 1 in 5 games. But Molly 1, for me, is of course my first love, and if I were to sum up why she's so flexible, what she does is she draws cards and she provides activation control, and she has a bonus to handout focus. They're just good with everyone, right? Like, there's you can create whatever crew you need to tackle this situation. But she has so much text on her card that's just relevant for a million situations, and a lot of it just forces your opponent to play around it. So you don't even have to do anything. It's just taxing your opponent, because if they don't play around it, they get fucked. So it might be worth going through.
Yeah, I found with her that you have to really pay attention to the entire game. There's times where I can check out of what my opponent's doing, right? But with Molly, because she has like the Let's Caress, if they do the same action, they take 2 damage if they're in line of sight when they declare it. So you have to kind of keep track of, okay, what's my opponent doing here? That's the second time they did that attack, or that's the second time they walked. So you really have to kind of pay attention to your opponent's activations as well as your own.
Yeah, Molly is very much a reactive master in every sense, list building, gameplay. She's always looking at what the opponent is doing and responding to that. And she also forces the opponent to do the same, which I think is one of the ways that a lot of people who don't have experience against Molly can get quite flustered, because so much of her stuff punishes you if you don't play around it. And she just gets basically some free value by forcing people to play around, and like gets a little bit of action taxing and stuff like that.
Yeah, can you, so we're going to kind of answer Oracle's question here in a second, but before we do, can you go ahead and walk us through the activation control? Because it's very different with Molly, and it's built specifically around constructive criticism. So can you walk us through that, and then we'll answer Oracle's question?
Yeah, for sure. And I think the one thing I want to highlight with this is the rest of the text on our card I want to go over at some point because it's really, really relevant. But the tactical actions are basically what I do with Molly in many games. It's the walk action, constructive criticism, the lost knowledge, and the bonus action. And that can be a full game for Molly. And so what constructive criticism is target a friendly forgotten minion. I use Krooligans, and we can go into those later. But and then it provides a card discard, which can sometimes be relevant, but mostly that's just a cost. And you need your TN of 6. I highly recommend putting the Whisper on Molly because both her tactical actions have moderate TNs, and Whisper just makes it so easy to control those. And so you got your constructive criticism. Target may activate a second time this turn, so they need to have already activated already. And what this does is it gives you another activation where your opponent didn't get a pass token, so it guarantees that you're going to get last activation on that turn. Very, very relevant in the early game, can be very, very relevant in the late game as well, because it gives you that control. And so an example of how I've used this activation control is I'll activate Krooligan. Say if I make my opponent go first, then I activate a Krooligan, I focus and drop a scheme. Then Molly reactivates this with constructive criticism, then it focuses and drops a scheme again. What I've done there is now I would have had the last activation for the fact that I was going second, but then I also now have the last 2 activations, which gives me a huge ability to see how my opponent moves up the board. And one of my favorite tricks is then I might do something like use Dead Rider to reap Archie up the board, because you can attack friendlies with reap. You can gain like 6 inches on Archie. Then Archie does a leap, a walk, a charge, so that's another 19 inches, so we're already talking like a 25, 26 threat range on this. And then he attacks twice, and because he's flurrying, he heals up the damage from the that he's done from the attack. And boom, I've deleted a support model turn 1, which is one of my favorite things to do. And so that constructive criticism gives you that activation control alone is entirely worth an action. Like, that's insanely powerful. But on top of that, you sometimes get a second activation, which is is really, really useful. Like, you might want to use your Krooligan. I've had times where I was like, oh fuck, my Krooligan's going to die. I need to teleport it to somewhere to not die. But then I also need the Krooligan to do something at the end of the turn if I want to score my point that turn. Well, I can do both. Teleport to safety, reactivate it, and do it again later. So that constructive criticism is just insanely strong.
So while Dixon's kind of doing that, just real quick, do you think pass tokens kind of mess that up, though, Maniacal?
When other players have something that generates pass tokens? Yeah, actually, that pass tokens are one of the things that make me rage so much, because a lot of Molly's strength is in the ability to gain that activation control, and when she can't, it removes a lot of her plays. And the fact that they've added those pass tokens in a bit more efficiently. Like, at first we had like Ma Tucket, and Ma Tucket can be a difficult matchup for Molly, but it's doable. But as they start to add them in on more efficient models, like when it was on Watchmen and Arcanist, that was just ridiculous to deal with. And Jin and Explorer Society certainly makes... in fact, I lost a game to Ivan for the first time recently with Molly. And that, I basically chalked it up to Jin making the matchup a lot harder. As well as
Jin's stupid.
Actually, now that you mentioned Jin, we just recorded an Enforcers video. And we talk about Jin. He's in there as one of the best enforcers in the game, specifically because of what you just described.
Yeah, I was going to say, and Dixon, you were asking something else about Molly and the Krooligans specifically.
Yes, I specifically wanted to talk about the Krooligans for a little bit long. I know that we have to talk about the title, and I definitely want to get to that. But Krooligans have like a wombo combo, a small wombo combo that's kind of ridiculous for a 4-point minion. One, from the shadows, some of the schemes and some strats, if I remember correctly, they are after deployment. So From the Shadows actually gets around that. If I remember correctly, that happened in GG3. I don't know if it's happening in GG4. That's one. And the second thing is the fading when it does by your side, happens after it teleports.
Yeah.
Now with those two things, I know that you have to have some stories or some like steps where they win you the game on the spot. And that was basically my question. Like, basically, can you please talk about that aspect of that?
Yeah, I
model?
mean, I think the Crueligans are probably Archie and the Crueligans are probably going to have the biggest chunk of this episode. So I think we can definitely hit that up when we get to it.
Oh, okay, fine.
Because we want to follow. We want to finish definitely talking about Molly.
The aspect of that we can answer now is that holy shit, it is so hard to score against Molly. It's just ridiculous. Because as you say, those Crueligans can remove scheme markers, which because of constructive criticism, they can be the last action. They can be like, I don't care what you're doing. I'm removing those scheme markers. Molly herself has the lost knowledge. She can remove those markers. She's really good at controlling the flow of combat because of that activation control. So if you want to score Vendetta against Molly, sometimes she can just be like, well, I'm not even giving you access to my models, so how are you going to score Vendetta? So that control element is really large. And if I briefly, since we were in tactical actions, I'll just briefly mention Lost Knowledge. Remove target marker, draw 2 cards. That's marker removal, so that's good. And remove target markers in italics, so you don't even need to succeed the action, although you want to. And then the upside is drawing 2 cards, which is really solid. So I'll often just sit there with Molly removing markers that my Crueligans and my Totem have dropped to draw some cards with that.
And that's why Whisper is also just really strong on her, because you look at the top 3 and you're like, you see either the red or black Joker or Severe, and you're just like, well, let's draw that into my hand, and that's just great.
Yeah, and on top of that, Lost Knowledge, the problem with Lost Knowledge is if you have to cheat it, you're spending 1 card to draw 2 cards.
Yeah.
With the Whisper, you're not having to cheat it, like you're just getting that freebie for at least one of them. And so that just really smooths out what you're doing. And yeah, I'll have times where I'll see some Severes and I have to make the call of like, am I using these on attacks or am I drawing these for my beaters? 90% of the time I'm drawing them for my beaters. Really, really strong.
Yeah, and I feel like, because you'll notice that there's a lot of discarding just with like Premonition and Constructive Criticism where Molly just discards a card. So I often use that when I need to basically trigger her fading to try and put Distracted maybe on a scary model. So that helps protect her more because she has Serene Continence, and if you put Distracted on a model, it makes her even harder to deal with. So she really can kind of hang around a scrum a little bit, sometimes not too much because she only has like 10 hitboxes, but still, if you can put out Slow and put out Distracted and really manage their scary pieces that way, you can really kind of just hang around and cause a lot of pain for your opponent as far as activating models.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of good control stuff there, but again, people will often play around it. So one thing to note is Premonition, you can't discard a card with Molly because it's a pulse. So it's the other models that are discarding the cards.
Yeah.
So she can trigger other models' fadings with that. But the handing out the focus and the 2-inch push can be really clutch and make use of that bonus. But yeah, one thing I wanted to say about let's cover fading and the attacks is they're all 8-inch ranges. And so like if you play against people enough, they will learn, oh, you just don't stand with 8 inches of Molly.
Stay 8 away.
Yeah. And I found that Enslaved Spirits have actually really boosted her power as an master with those abilities, because like I'll stand like 10 inches away to outrange you, and you're like, okay, well, I'll enslave spirit her into position, and suddenly you've saved a whole AP on your master. And yeah, that distracted, basically the ways that you'll often do it are constructive criticism, although if you're brawling, sometimes you're not stopping to do that because you're attacking or whatever. And the Necrotic Machine's Accomplice ability makes Molly discard as well. And there's a couple other models in the keyword that can make her discard. So it's one of those things that is very strong, and you want to remember it exists because it's something you're doing anyway.
Yeah, maybe you can answer this real quick because I'm actually not sure about this rule-wise, Maniacal, but if I draw too many cards with Molly and I have to discard down to hand size, does that count as her discarding or no?
No, unfortunately, it's the player, not the models. So so it actually ends up a little bit clunky to trigger that fading. But again, when you do, like, just handing out a Distracted for you were discarding a card anyway is quite strong. And if we're on the topic of 8-inch ranges, I kind of want to go over her 2 attacks. Because as I said, her tactical actions are so good that I don't use the attacks much. Because
But they're good.
opponents
They're good
play
when you
around
need them, though.
Yeah, and if people don't play around them, like, they will fuck them up. So I wanted to go over one more question. First off, target gain slow. Because she's a support control master, the enemy beater getting slow, that's sometimes enough to warrant taking it on the best enemy beater, or even the enemy master, if you know they don't have condition removal. It's really, really solid already. It can do some damage. Occasionally you'll notice, oh, I can kill models with it. Especially because Prey on Nothingness and Debt of Gratitude can both up the damage. So one of the things you want to keep an eye out for is like that opportunity to be like, oh, I can actually just burst the model down because of they don't have any ski markers in play, and I have some high crows, so I'm just going to Debt of Gratitude. The other thing we've got here is utility. So Prey on Nothingness is built in, removes a condition. Oh, you've got Focus. Oh, you've got Fast, which I believe that resolves before the slow if they're engaged and damaging. So any positive condition you can remove. Draw out secrets, very powerful scoring power, and Debt of Gratitude, target must remove a ski marker friendly to its crew. Again, scoring against Molly is so hard, and if they don't have the ski markers, suddenly you're a 3, 5, 6 damage track.
Yeah.
So either way, that's really good. And the thing with Molly is because of all her card draw, you're not usually stoning for these suits. What you're doing is you're managing your hand to be like, oh, the perfect situation has arisen, I'm going to capitalize on it.
I mean, the depth of gratitude has screwed me even when it doesn't do the damage.
Yeah, even when you remove the scheme.
Yeah, I was gonna mention Peter and I played a game, me playing Honeypot not that long ago, and in that game he did it only one time. That he triggered it one time against one of my beaters and one of my scheme runners. And on one of those models he got the Debt of Gratitude and it took away my scheme. So I lost the game like by 3 VPs, and 100% one of those VPs was just that damn trigger.
Yeah, and it's worth highlighting, target must remove a ski marker, so the opponent doesn't get a choice.
Yep.
It's just straight up removes the marker, and again, she just has so much marker removal that scoring ski marker schemes against her sucks.
Yeah. It was super dumb because, like, I think you did it to my incorporeal model, so I only took like 1 damage. But the slow and the removal of my scheme hurt my soul.
Yeah. And she's got all these efficient plays where, like, every bit of text on this card's good. And the Disturbing Story,
I was going to say, I use Disturbing Story a lot more, I think.
Yeah, Disturbing Story is the powerhouse, and it's, again, I talked earlier about how people looked for the most powerful thing on a Master's card, and that's, with Molly, no doubt, is Disturbing Story.
Well,
I've had times
I think it's one of those things where if your opponent isn't, like, planning around it, that there are bad moments where this... I'd say probably about once a game there's a model that gets wrecked by this, in my experience.
Yeah, for me it's more rare because my opponents have learned to respect it, but like...
I'm playing against people that have forgotten what Molly does a little bit, so I think I have a little more grace right now, Maniacal.
I said, we played it wrong, and he killed one of my models because of that. He had maximum hand, and we thought that it was my hand, like... I'm sorry, I had the maximum hand, and I thought it was a difference between my hand and his hand, instead of the difference between my maximum hand size.
Maximum, yeah.
Exactly. So I lost the henchman to her because I misplayed that stupid ability.
Yeah, but I think that's even better, though, because you kind of just... I don't feel like Molly usually activates super early anyways. So I feel like she often kind of just waits for that. Kind of like what you were saying, Maniacal, with... when the opportunity, presents itself where you're like, oh, I can kill that model because he has this many cards in hand, and I think I can pretty much auto hit him, so let's do it.
Actually, Maniacal has proven to me that the necromantic machine having Accomplice makes her activating second super fucking easy.
Yeah, she's just got so many options. And with Disturbing Story, the way people can play around it is I've had opponents, like, refuse to cheat cards because they were terrified I was going to delete their models, which is a huge tax. She's not even doing anything, and they're not using their cards, which is amazing. I've had opponents, not stand 8 inches of her, but even at 13 inches, she can do 6 irreducible damage. So I've just seen, like, I've beat henchmen down a little bit, and then I was like, oh, you didn't respect Disturbing Story, your model's gone. And that just happens, like, if people aren't paying attention. Or they can counter it by standing and concealing, etc. So I find that, like, yeah, it just forces people to respect Disturbing Story so much, because if you don't, then she's going to, like, just delete a model. The other huge downsides I want to highlight with it, though, is one, you've got to have you need 7s for it, so it's pretty demanding on the cards that you're getting. Although sometimes you just see them with the Whisper, like you'll see 3 Severes. And then also, if you're doing Disturbing Story, that means your opponent doesn't have very many cards in hand, so you're not really drawing for that. And you're not drawing from Lost Knowledge because you're attacking. So the rest of your crew is really going to be struggling that turn.
Yeah.
But it's worth it if you're deleting, like, a Master or an Important Henchman. And another thing you can do is you can do the card draw combo with Necrotic Machine, which is basically Necrotic Machine can drain your hand, then you accomplish into Molly, and you draw to equal to your opponent. So I've had times where my opponent had 3 cards, I had 3 cards. My Necrotic Machine used my entire hand, accomplished into Molly to draw 3 new cards, and then I Disturbing Storied them down.
Yep. Necrotic Machine makes me very, very angry of my Gorar. So every single time I see the Gorar, I see the Necrotic Machine, and I'm just go, why? Why, God, why?
Yeah, we're going to have to do a whole section on him, because the Necrotic Machine is part of why you want to declare Molly. It's
Yep. So anything else about the original Molly before we look at the title a little bit?
Yeah, let's just quickly wrap up her front of card, which is, again, Les Caress. If this model is the crew's leader, after an enemy model with a line of sight, this clears an action that has already declared this activation. It suffers 2 damage. And again, that's one of those things where you want to position well for it, so your opponent's having to play around it, and then they will play around it. Like, they have to walk charge instead of walk. And that means they now have less flexibility on their movement. They to position so that they block line of sight to Molly when they attack twice, which again, that taxes them. And if they can't do that, they're sometimes getting chunked for 4 damage just for attacking 3 times. It's a pretty big swing. Yep. And then the Gorgon's Influence, at the start of this model's activation, it may draw cards until it has the same number of cards in its control hand as the opposing player. If your opponent is not paying attention, you're going to draw like 4 cards off of this if you manage your hand well and when you activate and everything. And it will.
I just want to ask.
But
why does she have this stupid ability and also have Lost Knowledge?
Yeah, and Disturbing Story. Because the thing is here, like, so this incentivizes you. If your opponent's clever, they'll have fewer cards so that you can't draw lots of cards. But now, as I said before, but you have lots of cards to counter Disturbing Story. So now they have to stand more than 13 inches away from Ollie, and they need to have few cards in hand. And so you can see how there's tons on a card where your opponent can play against and you might not use them all game, but they're juggling like 6 different things to avoid doing that you haven't even spent an action on. They're just stuff
and I
that
did
they have
see
to avoid.
In your write-up you did Maniacal where you were like, yeah, it's good to draw like 4 cards, but don't let that hinder when you activate Molly, because sometimes drawing 1 or 2 cards is fine enough if you have a good play on the board with her.
Yeah, for sure. And that's... Oh, I was also going to comment that I've written a guide on the forums for Molly stuff, which has lots of useful information, but I've never done this deep an analysis of Molly's cards, so this is a first exclusive for this podcast.
I mean, thank you for saying it like that, but like we're just like basically talking in general everything that we've seen or done, and you're like the expert. So thank you for answering the things more than anything like being specific about the card. You know what I mean? Like, I'm happy. Oh, you're gone.
And last thing to mention is he has Serene Countenance, Hard Wound. These are great defensive techs. They will not save her if you're like flinging her into battle, but often I've got her doing that backline support anyway. So
I mean, she's literally 10 health.
A
Hinamatsu or something with plus flips like Betty Noir will take her down eventually.
Yeah, and so that's why I often do use control and positioning to just be like, well, technically you can kill her, but you're going to have to dive so deep and it's going to be so awkward when combined with Serene Countenance and Hard to Win.
Yeah, and so this is somebody who hasn't played the title at all, right? But I've read and kind of talked to some people about it. And the thing that sticks out to me about the Chaotic Conductor is probably, I'll just kind of list them off. So Arcane Reservoir just seems good. Fading, Loneliness, that I know there's some stupid combos you can get with that. And then the other thing that sticks out to me is just the Deja Vu trigger. So I don't know, Maniacal, you can talk me through it, but that's kind of the three things that stand out to me looking at the card.
Molly Chaotic Conductor is one of my favorite examples of how, like, a card can obviously be designed for keyword play. This card was really clearly, like, as you said, Fading Loneliness. It's got the Remember the Loss. Positive Reinforcement is designed for Forgotten only, and then she makes models discard cards, which is a forgotten thing.
Yep.
So she's designed for keyword play. But if you think about the interactions outside of the keyword, you open up a lot of possibilities. So I want to cover, I guess, some of the keyword options. The most powerful keyword build is the Crackbats. And what this is you take your Night Terrors, and you have the Fading Loneliness generates a Night Terror movement, and Philip next to Molly then does another one. So every time Molly discards, you're generating 2 Night Terror movements. And great, that's 10 inches of movement. But when they move through models, you take a duel, and that's or they take a damage, and that can add up. I did it sometime where, like, I was just testing it with a clumped up opponent where we were just trying to see what could happen, and it was like 30 or 40 duels that the opponent ended up taking because of this Crackbat. So it's like, it's one of the most fun builds, and it's the best keyword build that I've seen so far.
So that's what I played against Oracle. So I'm happy that you circled back into that naturally, I guess, because that was annoying. I had to shoot it and chase it down with my Pale Rider because they move so dang fast. They were like hiding behind buildings and forest.
Yeah, I mean, so how good? Before we get into that, I mean, how good is that? Just to try and ping models by the bats moving back and forth, because it seems annoying. I just don't know how good it is, you know.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is when it first came out, it was picking up some games because it was new and people didn't know about it. And then I tried it against one of the top New Zealand players, and he was like, "I'm just going to spread out my crew, and then you can do one ping on one model." I was like, "Okay." So yeah, it's really fun. You'll catch some people out, but I don't. It's her best build.
It kind of seems like in the same realm as a Pick-a-Pult kind of gotcha thing. That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah. And so for me, and like we'll get into her keyword later. Her keyword is really solid and it's really fun. I play it at my local scene all the time because it's really cool. I don't play it competitively, and we can get into that later. But so competitively, what I think is really, really valuable on Molly's card are the Parade abilities. So first, Parade of the Dead. When a friendly model activates, and that's not a Forgotten model, it's any model. When a friendly model activates within Aura 8, it may discard a card to move up to 3 inches. First off, movement is good, 3 inches is good, but this can also essentially make you immune to engagement, which is just insane, especially this season, GG4, where engagement for stopping interacts is really big deal. As long as Molly can see you, you can get out of engagement. And so one of my favorite models with Molly is Hanged. With Molly 2 is the Hanged, and this ability means that they can just scoot out of combat and shoot you with their gun to stag you whenever they need to, and it allows so much flexibility. And Molly can use it on herself, so she can discard for Parade of the Dead, charge 6 inches, and baton something 11 inches away. That's insane for a single charge. Like, and again, like, you can use it on Archie, where he discards a card, he gets his 3-inch move, and then he charges 6 inches, and he charges something 10 inches away, and then he leaps to safety. Like, the plays that you can do, and he heals. The plays you can do when a friendly model activates and discard to move up to 3 is just incredible. she herself is move 6, so she is really, really mobile. She can use Parade of the Dead on herself. If you need an interact across the table, she can do it. And so that's, she's just, as opposed to Molly 1, where I was talking about she's sitting in my deployment zone kind of supporting the crew. Molly
She's 2, leading the parade.
Yeah, she's all over the place. And she is quite squishy, and so she will die. But again, I think mobility is one of the best of defensive tech this season.
Yeah.
So she just uses really solid positioning.
Yeah, I definitely think that mobility is more like last GG. You wanted to kind of sit and get right. You were kind of standing on points, survival of the fittest. That's how you kind of got most of your VPs. Where this one, you have to go get into spots. And I found myself in Gaining Grounds 4. The games that I've lost have been the ones where it's like, I need to get to that point. I can't get to it, so I lose.
Yeah, and that is the thing that Molly is just almost S tier at. Is if it's about getting around the board and doing stuff, she's extremely, extremely good. If it's sitting there and brawling in a fight, not so much. And that applies to both Mollys because of the Monos Rider Archie package.
So,
okay, so
Go ahead, Dixon.
I gotta point this out. Actually, this makes perfect sense why Oracle was using her for plant explosives, because the reason why I use Lucius is the mobility is insane on Lucius. Teleporting 12 inches is gross. So she basically moves 9 inches on her first move and drops a plant explosive. That's insane. Is that one of the reasons why you would pick her over the other Molly?
Yeah, there's been times where I've looked at a pool, and I was like, last year I did a tournament in person where it was corner covert versus Tara, and spread them out was in the pool. And I was like, you know what? I just want to go hypermobility because I don't think he's going to be able to keep up with my ski marker shenanigans. And like halfway through the game, he was like, wait, did you take spread them out? And I was like, yeah, can you stop me? And he said no. And it's just because, so Molly 1, a lot of the same stuff applies, but with Molly 2, and another where Molly 2 can be really good is a strength of Molly 1 is that activation control is insane. But when I was against Tara, I was like, I'm not winning the activation control battle, so I'm going to take Molly 2 and just get that incredible
and Tara also doesn't want to really deny by interacting to pick up your ski markers, so that probably was a good move because she really doesn't want to waste her time doing that. She wants to remove your models and then get her points, so it was probably a good move.
Yeah, and it was a lot of positioning control where I was kept being like, nope, you can't get to me. And it was corner deployment, and I used all her movement shenanigans to get Archie up the field and then reap it with Ryder. And then I killed a prospector on corner deployment turn 1 with Archie.
What's so I see Oracle talking about parade route. Can you kind of walk me through that action?
That's the other I wanted to mention, because when I talk about Molly 2, she's the parade master, and so Parade of the Dead and Parade Route, so much power in these two abilities. These are the two things that make me play the game, play her. Because what Parade Route does is, first off, it's stat 6, so it's a good option as an attack, and it ignores... Yeah, and it ignores models and terrain. So one of the cool tricks you can do with it offensively is you can just yeet, say, a peacekeeper into a forest. And then, what the fuck is it going to do? You can yeet models through buildings. And that's something to keep an eye out for, because it's just suddenly your slow, tanky model, sorry, it's not actually playing this game. And that's what Molly is all about, is saying to the opponent, sorry, you don't even get to play the game.
Actually, this is kind of hilarious, because I remember Oracle mentioning that this was Avalanche, which is one of my favorite actions, the reason why I love the Kurgan. But this thing is, whatchamacallit, it does irreducible damage instead of doing direct damage. Have you ever used that on that purpose? Because I know that you can stagger somebody and then hit them, basically guaranteeing the hit.
Yeah, it's a bit clunky because you need to have the enemy model positioned near 3 models and or non-terrain markers. So and that non-terrain marker especially is that's hard to get. If you have a bunch of schemes in a brawl, it can happen, but Molly prefers to put her schemes so far away that opponents can't remove them. It has come up occasionally. The thing that makes this parade route insanely strong is the built-in ram trigger, Walk with Pride. Target may take interact action even if engaged, which is just like, what the fuck? Because
And you get to discard a card again.
yeah, if we think about, say, Zoraida's Obey with Sorcel is probably the best Obey effect in the game.
Right.
And for that, she needs a 7 of masks, and then she can get a model to move 5 inches and interact. And that is a common play with Zoraida, because walk 5 inches, interact for 1 AP
Really
is
good.
insane. But when Molly does it, she needs a 4, and the target may take the interact action even if engaged, means
And
that
it's built in.
on plant explosives, if you've got a model trying to guard a marker, you're just like, tough luck, I'm picking up that marker. And that's
Yeah, that's
again
pretty
why
good.
Molly 2 is insane on plant
my
explosives. And I like to take her with hanged, and so what I'll find is I'll yeet a hanged into somebody, pick up the marker, and they're like, what are you gonna do, kill my hanged? That's the tankiest model in the faction. You're not taking
Wait,
it down.
hold up a minute. None of this stuff that you're talking about is linked to keyword. So you're saying basically just go ham outside of keyword?
Yeah, my absolute favorite build with this master is Archie, Kruligan, Monos, and 2 hanged with Grave Spirit's Touch.
Oh, Dixon's getting it. Dixon's getting that list.
Why do you hate me so
It's
much, man?
fucking
I'm
wild.
building this on
And-
my phone right
Wait,
now.
why a Kruligan? Do you still want the Kruligan even though you can't
Dude,
put the
Kruligans are
activated?
just good, man.
They're just stupidly overpowered models, and when you build the list with Archie, Monos, and the 2 hanged with Grave Spirit's Touch, you're like, oh, I have 4 stones left. I tried the Night Terror, and then I eventually realized, you know what, Kruligans are just better than Night Terrors, even with fading.
Yeah,
combinations.
I still can't believe that a 4-point model has a stat 5 on both attacks, and both attacks are good.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, to the listeners, look at this the card of this stupid model. He's a 4-point model that has the normal attacks of a 6-point model, and he can steal your soul stones.
And
obscene.
that's barely scratching the surface, which we'll cover. We're covering that in 1 or 2 bits.
Yeah.
But the Kruligans are insane.
It's in the phone,
one
Dixon.
last-
You're getting it.
The other thing I
Okay.
want to highlight about Molly is her leading baton attack. It's stat 5, and that's something that really frustrates me because it's got a 1-2-6 damage track, and I think it would be cool if you were using the severe 6 on opponents, but to do that consistently it would need to be stat 6. So I
Yep.
just kind of don't worry about that. It's cool when it happens. But the great thing about it, first off, 2-inch engagement range. Insane in Aiding Grounds 4. You can do so much disruption of people interacting. Although, again, she will die if she's engaging stuff for too long. But then she's really good at running away with Discard for Parade of the Dead and then move 6 inches. And then push the target up to 3 inches in any direction. That's decent value. It's not master level value, but if she charges something, then you've got master level value because she moves 6 inches and another model moves 3 inches.
Yeah.
So that can be really powerful. Or sometimes you just score a point by moving a model 3 inches, and sometimes it's just worth it. When it really starts to get master level is that Deja Vu trigger, which you're wanting to look out for, because if you can hit Deja Vu, you're just really upside your hand and really getting that insane card quality. And then if you're hanged or drawing a few cards, and the Arcane Reservoir gives you a card, not only are you ending up with a set of 10 cards or so, but you've cycled a few of them and gotten really good card quality.
Yeah.
So you're looking out for opportunities to do Deja Vu with that.
Cackle,
Yeah.
you're trying to bury the lead here, but we know that this is like an extra 6 inches of threat to any of your beaters. If it's Archie, you're healing him as you're pushing him 6 inches forward. You're drawing 2 cards in general. Come on now.
Yeah,
why
my
are you
turn,
like this?
my turn 1 with her is often like leading baton with some. So parade route 2 models, and then charge 1 leading baton 1 of those models, and
Yep.
then you've got 2 of your models. 1 model's up 9 inches, 1 of your models up 5 inches, and she's up 6 inches, and the models are in her Parade of the Dead aura, so they can discard a card to go go another 3 inches. So for your Archie, for instance, or I'm often moving the Hang because Archie's already so mobile, you're just giving that extra 11 inches to say a Hanged, and now it's in gun range. And once a Hanged is in gun range, and that's just what I love about Molly is with Hanged is the Hanged are so damn tanky, but their weakness is that they can't get around the board.
Yeah.
Whereas Molly's like, I can get models around the board, but if I use my keyword models, they explode as soon as they get there because they're so fragile.
Oh my god!
And so
this
combination of Molly with the Hanged is very, very strong.
This is more mobile than Yan Lo before turn 3.
It's incredibly mobile. It's ridiculous.
That's stupid.
And so my favorite time to run Molly is when I see, oh, my opponent was silly and didn't declare a master that has access to Ruthless into Rezzers. I'm going to take the double Hanged build, and like say against Outcasts. My Outcast opponents have learned, oh, you always hire Taylor into Cackle because there's a chance he'll hire double Hanged.
This is so dumb. You know, this is a Neverborn also thing. Like if you drop this into Neverborn, they're boned because they only have 2 models with Ruthless that are not masters.
Yeah, like Lucius will fuck him up, and Nekema Black Blood will fuck him up. And other than that, what are they going to do against your Hanged?
Yep.
Like, they just fucked.
Yeah, they just die.
And then, because of the Parade of the Dead, they can even get out and shoot models, which can be really annoying for Neverborn. So she's really like... So Molly 1 plays a good mobility game because she has access to Monos, Dead Rider, and Archie, and those are really mobile models. Molly 2, she will make any ridiculously mobile, and then like if you've got a Hanged in your face from across the board, like you're not killing it, and it's wherever the fuck it wants to be. And again, Parade Route with Walk with Pride for the interact on a Hanged to pick up a plant explosive marker. That Hanged is never dying because like
dude, literally in the game that I had with him with Tull, I just gave up on killing Hanged. Literally, I stopped attacking them.
They're just there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just accepted they're gonna murder my stuff, so I just tried to minimize as much damage as possible.
Yeah, and I want to give a shout out to 2 last bits of her card. Is Positive Reinforcement, Friendly Forgotten Only. That means she can target herself. She does need a 7, but if she needs, she gets a Focus, which again is good with her damage track, even if often you won't actually get to use it. It at least threatens your opponent, and they'll cheat to stop it. It heals 1, 2, 3, sometimes really valuable, and that Deja Vu trigger. So when I've got precisely a 7 of crows in my hand, I'm sometimes using that in the mid game to top her up and cycle some cards and stuff. It's not that great an ability, but it can be good, and again, it can be clutch on Archie. And her Fading Loneliness, using it when she's discarding hard for a Deja Vu, you might be healing her too, and then he's healing Archie some, and that's just really, really efficient play. And don't forget to use the Fading Loneliness and Archie. And then the last thing, remember the Lost. I don't play her in keyword that much, but so what I emphasize is that I'll just try to set it up for her to do a little bit of success with it, and the totem to get a bit of value on it. And Archie's usually too far away, but if he's around, he can get some value out of it. But I don't worry about getting value out of it. I just think, oh well, I'll flip some cards, and if I do, that's great.
I mean, you can use it to draw cards using Whisper at the very least in your own activation, so it's not that bad.
Yeah, I don't usually take the Whisper on her because she doesn't have that same TN requirement of Molly 1.
Oh.
And if I'm running those double Hanged, I want the stones for the Hanged rather than for having the Whisper. But that said, a lot of people do favor the Whisper for exactly that reason. And if you're playing her in keyword, I think the value of playing for the Lost Aura and taking the Whisper goes up.
So we've spent about 50 minutes on the Masters. Yeah, I mean, the totem, now usually you can gloss over the totem, but I feel like there's a couple of key points with Necrotic Machine that just, it helps Molly 1 and I'm sure Molly 2 out as well with kind of the hand size manipulation with you versus your opponent, because you can either use Strange Behavior to add a card to your opponent's hand, or you can use this model to get rid of cards out of your hand to then set up Molly. So, I mean, is there any other little nuances you want to... I know there's a couple, so that's why I'm
actually, Oracle set a combo. He says, my favorite combo is to use Bring It from the Noxious Nephilim to have Molly to charge him with an attack to push him up the table, because she gets to use his Lost Memory ability to discard, which then pushes Night Terrorist and Philip on the Nanny all for 5 AP and 1 card.
Seems a little rude, Goldberg.
I mean, I saw it in action. It was ridiculous.
It gets quite efficient, and it's really doable but that's how the crackbat build will work. Is like you'll be doing that to be drawing cards and stuff. And yeah, we talked about the crackbat build already, but it is like it is worth exploring because actually, again, especially like if you're not doing top tier competitive play, the keyword's really solid and all those tricks are really fun, and I would absolutely play them at my local games.
Yep. So the necrotic machine is a pretty stocky little totem.
Yeah, the necrotic machine is part of the reason to play Molly, and there's 4 key points I want to go over him because he has lots of text that's obvious, but lots of stuff that took me a lot of games to unlock. And I do want to just shout out for how ridiculous this model is. You could remove all of the text on his card in terms of abilities and actions, and he would still be a stupidly good totem because he's significant, he can walk around the board, and Krooligans can teleport to him. So his baseline is already like ridiculous.
His text could only be Krooligans teleport here, and he'd be worth bringing.
Yeah, he's like really solid. You throw in like this armor too, so like it takes like usually the opponent's going to do a focus severe 6 to kill him, and opponents will learn you kill the fucking machine because if it survives to the end of the game, it's winning you the game.
Oh yeah.
Neurotoxins I want to comment on because enemy models with the poison condition within 3 cannot use soul stones. This is something if your opponents do not respect, they will die. Henchmen will die, masters will die, especially because if you get with 11 inches of the necrotic machine, it has accomplice, so it's going to run up, it's going to hit you with its stat 5 venomous strike, which has guaranteed poison, so unless your defense 6, it's going to land its hit, because Molly's card draw means she's probably got the cards to do it. And then it's going to accomplice into a beater like Archie, and you're going to take 6 to 9 damage to the face, which ignores soul stones. So just keep an eye out for if your opponent is not playing around neurotoxin combo, just accomplish their models out of the game.
This model, like it took Klaus for me to fight him, and it put Klaus to 3 health, I think it was in our game. Because Klaus ignores neurotoxins is the only reason why I did that.
Hey, I had Necrotic Machine take 2 shots from Misaki and still not die.
Yeah, it's that armor plus 2 is and his defense 5. Like it's actually ridiculously annoying to remove for a totem.
Yeah.
Especially because you're generally playing it safe with it. Like again, you'll dive in if it gets you the kill with neurotoxins, but other than that, you're like, I am running away and Krooligans can teleport to me. We got to mention the card draw combo just because not everyone's familiar with this, but one of the things you can do is strange behavior. The opposing player draws the top card of their discard pile. If it's moderate or severe, this model may move up to 3 inches and take an action. And it has a TN, which means you can be cheating cards on it. So there's 2 things to say. First off, as an action, this can be incredible, especially turn 5 where you don't care if you're stacking their hand potentially towards the end of the turn. Move 3 inches and take an action. You can leave engagement, do an interact. That already is very powerful. You can move 3 inches and take the action again. So I've done things where I've just been like, oh, I need to move 6, take a walk action, and interact. So this model can move 11 inches and take an interact action, potentially, if they've got moderates and severes on top. So like you can chain strange behavior together. So it's one of those things that you just look for opportunities to use it, and then all of a sudden your opponent will be like, what the shit just happened?
Holy crap, that is literally, I've never seen that before, and now I'm scared.
Yeah, and the thing to especially watch out for is if your opponent's discard pile has double moderate on top of it, like 2 6s, you don't mind putting those into their hand if it's giving you this crazy payoff of the necrotic machine scooting and doing something wild. The heal's good, the attack's good. The other interaction is strange behavior with accomplice. You can use strange behavior to put up your opponent's hand. You're cheating the TNs for your bonus action and for your strange behavior to empty your hand. You discard a card for accomplice. You go down to 0 cards. You accomplice into Molly, and you reload your hand. So even if your opponent's been like, I'm staying on 3 and you're on 3, and your hand absolutely sucks, you can just be like, oh, sorry, you're actually on 5 cards, and I'm on 0 cards, and I'm now drawing 5 cards. Which, it's not a play that you're using all the time, but when it's relevant,
it's good when it's there.
Relevant. And Ceaseless Advance, again, opponents will learn to keep 1 card in their hand at the end of the turn, but if they don't, during the end phase, you get a free push and an action, which can be like it can be an interact, but often you're not trying to do an relevant interact. But this happens after poison has ticked, I believe, is how I've seen this ruled. So you can put poison on them so that neurotoxins is up at the start of next turn, for instance. Can be a really good one. Or, just walk further into a better position, walk to a safer position.
Well,
so that
you can also do it right where you, with strange behavior, you just do that twice, walk, and then walk again, and then you're just casually 16 inches up the board for a Kruligan to teleport to?
Yeah. So it's just all this interacts in those really interesting, creative ways, and get used to using all of those bits, and you can learn to problem solve whatever you need to do. Molly can do.
And then, by the way, he also can be a healer for your crew.
Yeah, it's a really solid heal. It's only the TN5, heals 1, 2, 3, and ends the poison condition. It's actually a little bit annoying on the Rogue Necromancer. Just shout out for that interaction, but because that's not optional. But target heals 1, 2, 3 is just solid on a totem.
Definitely. And I think that's kind of the main thing, right? I mean, I don't think I've ever remembered its fading ability, so I've never done that to heal Molly. So
yeah, and the thing is, usually if you're accomplishing into Molly, for instance, if something's within 8 inches, you want the distracted. But otherwise, that you can make the oh no, it's not. It's always Molly that discards the card. Yeah. See, the thing is, he doesn't actually discard his cards very much. But with Molly 2, it's important to remember that if she's discarding cards, she can use those to heal herself off of the necrotic machine.
Holy crap. No, it's just like why is this totem so good?
And there's so much depth to all of these interactions, which is really, really good.
Yeah, I never seen strange behavior used.
I didn't use it for like my first 50 games, and then I was like, wait.
It just clicked.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but that's the necrotic
I've
machine.
used it. It's definitely good just to get the extra move and scoot or move and interact. But I think I don't think we have to spend as much time on it because we've actually spent a decent amount of time on the other episode talking about Archie. But I am interested to see what you think about Archie in keyword with Molly. What are some of the cool lines of plays that you like playing with Archie?
Yeah. So people who know me in the Malifaux World Series joke that I bring Archie into every single list, every single master. And while it's not true, I do bring him into almost all my lists with McMorning, Yanlo too, and with Molly, anyone who can draw cards. Because Archie has 2 weaknesses. They're both... one is that he needs a mask for his leap, so you put him into crews that draw cards, and guess what? Molly draws a fuck ton of cards. And the second weakness is if people can attack him and hit him a bunch, which is hard because of positioning and Terrifying 12 and leap, but if they can hit him a bunch, he dies pretty quickly because he's got defense 4. Molly 1's activation control means that they are never catching this bastard. He's just going to live forever. And so that really is to sum up the keyword synergy for him there, is that she's got what he needs. She can provide some card discard for extra healing. She provides the card draw for that leap and to fuel the flurry. And she can give him that activation control or positioning control to ensure that he's never dying. And then he gets to do what he does, which is just punch things 3 times, or he can interact, leap, interact. And in Molly... the other thing is Sweeping Strike. Is really important to note this trigger. He has lots of good triggers on his thing. I've used Bowled Over on friendlies. Keep an eye out for opportunities to do that. You can charge Bowled Over on a necrotic machine, for instance, to gain 10 inches of movement on your Archie. Sweeping Strike, though, I've seen people just absolutely melt because I get a tome and then I flip the lucky mod on Negs, or they didn't cheat high enough and I cheat a 13 of tomes and get the straight flip, and you just obliterate if you get moderate damage with that Sweeping Strike. But the absolute ridiculous synergy is that you can hire the Kruligans. Might be what's worth talking about next.
Yeah, I was going to say before we get into the Kruligan talk is that I will say Archie feels good with Molly specifically because there are those times where it's like, I'm going to activate first, turn 3. I have this stacked hand and I need to just obliterate something with Archie. So you do that, your resources are spent, but since you're playing in Molly 1 probably, even in Molly 2, you then just regather resources by just activating Molly and getting those back to then, finish out the rest of your turn.
Yeah, and that's the huge thing about Molly, is she just enables you to really go hard with dumping resources into models.
Hard in the paint.
And Archie's one of the best converters of cards into paint, yeah.
We've been talking about it. We've been insinuating it. Why are Kruligans the best 4-stone minions? I'll dare say minions in the game.
Absolutely absurd. And so,
Monsters.
basically what By Your Side is... Again, if this was the only text on the card, they would be ridiculous. Because what By Your Side does, if you've got your positioning with your core of your crew is your Molly, your Necrotic Machine, and your Archie, that's 3 different points on the board that the Kruligans are threatening, and that coverage of their, say, teleport, walk, interact is about a 7-inch range because of their base size. So that's, if you just picture a Molly, an Archie, and a Necrotic Machine, and picture a 7-inch bubble around each of them, in every direction, so that's 15 inches wide on each of them, suddenly, basically the entire board is somewhere your Kruligan can be and do stuff. And
I have found that's the way I like to run it. I like to send one forgotten model to one flank of the board, the other one to the other flank, and Molly kind of central. That way you just have good positioning all the way around the board.
Yeah, and so you've just got this insane board coverage. And what can you do with it? Well, you can teleport and interact, and that already is game-winning, right? So already, this model is like just A tier with any other consideration. But what else have we got? We've got the discard and fading, which happens after the teleport, and the forge, remove target enemy scheme marker and draw the top card of this model's discard pile, which is usually going to be your By Your Side card, but sometimes it's the card you attacked with, which can be really strong.
Yep.
So this, you don't get to have scheme markers where a Kruligan can go. And where can a Kruligan go? Oh, that's right, the entire fucking board. So it's just so ridiculous the amount of pressure that puts on people.
I've had Ensnare denied for 3 turns in a row because of these little fuckers.
Yeah, and these little fucks. In previous gaining grounds, I would often hire 1, but this gaining grounds has so many scheme markers. I think I'm going to be hiring 2 because the pressure it puts on scoring is insane.
So they just come in, deny something, and if they die, they're 4 points. And if they don't, they steal my soul stones. I hate.
Well,
these
I was
things
just
so
going to
much.
say, Dixon, at least the good news about Kruligans is that they're just scheme runners, so you don't really have to be scared of them as far as killing models.
Yeah, because as scheme runners, they can get in there and score catch and release back when that was a thing, and it was nothing you could do because activation, control, and teleport from anywhere on the board.
But they
then
did kill models.
Now let's talk about the other things. Because remember I said with Molly, what I'm doing on the turn 1 is I'm doing that constructive criticism on a Kruligan, and that first activation, the Kruligan focuses and interacts. Then Molly eats the ski marker, and then it focuses and interacts again to feed her for the next turn.
Yep.
Now what have we got? We have a double focus Kruligan. And what can you do with a double focus Kruligan? It can teleport, and target suffers 1/3/4 damage. If you're using focus, that's going to be a really consistent 3 damage. But stat 5 can stop you from landing your hits, except if this model's controller has fewer cards in its control hand than the opposing player, the target cannot cheat fate during this duel. What the fuck? What the fuck? So it's just, and again, Molly's insane with hand size control, and you'll be like, one of the tricks you can do here as well is if, say, I have 5 cards and my opponent has 4 cards, I will discard a card for By Your Side. We're both on 4 cards. I will charge them and use focus. I flip say a 12, say a 5 and a 3, and they flip a 4. I can actually pick the lower card because focus allows you to pick which card you want. I'll pick the lower card and say, oh, sorry, I'm going to cheat first. I cheat a card, like a 6, and then say, well, my hand size is lower than yours. You cannot cheat. And it's just, so there's just insane flexibility.
This is some Magic the Gathering bullshit right here, folks. If you've ever played the game of Magic the Gathering in any capacity, or if you have a commander team or a group or whatever, This is some Magic the Gathering bullshit, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and so what this does is it's saying to the opponent, like, no matter where you are on the board, you got to respect my ability to suddenly dish out 6 damage to you. And that's...
You're the Eric Cartman of wrestler players, I see.
Yeah,
Respect my authority.
And then the other thing, Expert Thief. Target a model that can use soul stones. Target must discard a soul stone. If it does so, add 1 soul stone to this crew's soul stone pool. I think one of the first ever games I played against Dixon, he was Titania and I was Molly, and he did his usual yeet his master at me, and I did my double activation control Kruligans turn 1.
Did you steal all his soul stones?
I did. So Archie went in, punched the fuck out of her. She used some stones. He started with 9. Then the Kruligans both teleported in and spammed Expert Thief. And at that point, I didn't have the cards to force them all through, but I took like 3 of his stones or something.
Yes.
And
so
then,
I started with 7. I still remember this vividly because it hurts so bad. I had never seen the Kruligans double activation before, and I forgot that my master is squishy unless I have some kind of activation control. So he just jumped in, stole 3 of my soul stones, and I died eventually.
Hey, listen, I've played against your Titania. I don't feel bad at all.
Both of you suck.
And then, so it's got that Fading Footprints Forge. It's got the Hard to Wound, which Hard to Wound is not usually a great defensive tech, but on this model it means that your opponent's at least spending 2 hits to kill it. And because of its positioning control with by your side, they're not getting the opportunity to get those 2 hits most of the time. Because it's just
I will say that I am surprised at how survivable these models are. They're defense 5. I feel like they should be defense 4, if we're going to be honest about it. But I'm not going to complain because I'm playing them now.
Dude,
and
all their stats should be 4. All their stats should be 4. I don't understand why they have the 5 on
just
any
these
of their
creepy
stats.
little children just scheming, anti-scheming, and shanking the crap out of models and stealing your lunch money.
But please don't nerf these models because they're the only reason Molly is playable. This model right here is why
that
Molly
is the
is
thing.
Liar!
You'll never see these. At least I shouldn't say never, but you'll never see these out of keyword. They're specifically for Molly.
Yeah, and it's because you need that triple teleport point of Molly, Necrotic Machine, and Archie. Then you have.
Dude, you're saying that as if Archie and the Necrotic Machine didn't exist.
Yeah. Like they're really really good, but you can hire Archie out of keyword. Anyway,
is there a game, Maniacal, where you ever bring 3 Kruligans?
Possible, but here's the thing. This is how I've ended up phrasing it about Kruligans because it's never ended up happening. Definitely games where I take 2, but the thing with Kruligans is they're so good. They're so amazingly powerful. You don't need that many of them because like 1 or 2 will do the job. Like 1 or 2 will already win you the game.
I like 2. I think 2's the sweet spot for a lot of pools. Yeah,
gaining grounds 4. I'm expecting a lot of double Kruligan, double Enslaved Spirit is a pretty good build. The downside of that build is it sucks at the initiative control because of those pass tokens. I often play your elite at 7 models so you can fight for initiative, but this season I think it will be worth it and you'll sometimes not have the initiative control. But yeah, that's the biggest downside of bringing 3 Kruligans is they generate pass tokens. Your opponent will realize that you're going to have last activation anyway, so they will save their pass tokens for initiative, and then you won't be able to fight for initiative. So, and that actually is a bit painful.
Here's a list I think you'll appreciate, Maniacal. And also, Kruligans are the reason why I found it's okay to go down to like 2 soul stones when you make your Molly lists. So don't be scared to go low because the Kruligans will always, net you a couple. But so this list is Molly with Whisper because that's what you do with the machine. 2 Kruligans because I love true Kruligans in GG4. Archie, 2 Gwison, a Dead Rider, and 2 Enslaved Spirit. That has all the AP, man. That's where all the AP went.
Those kinds of lists are absolutely worth exploring in GG4. You've still got your Rider and your Archie and like Kruligan damage potential, and Gwison are surprisingly like hit hard as well.
Oh yeah, they spike.
Why are they so freaking like? Why are they 6 points?
Yeah,
they should be 7 points.
They're
not. Just deal with it.
Pretty wild.
I am a little salty though because I had to buy the other side starter just for 2 Gwison.
Yeah, it's real annoying. I luckily knew a guild player that had some extra boxes lying around, so I think I got 2 Gwison. I
So,
can never run the triple.
any
Gwison
other Kruligan things you want to preach? Because you do have like I know a ton to say about them, and they are fantastic.
Yeah, I think it covers the basics. Their primary role is the scheme runner, but again, they actually do everything, and it's ridiculous for 4 stones. And there's a guide on the forum to look up like some other plays. But I think we actually condensed all of that, and we covered pretty much all of the relevant plays.
So what about the other minions that you can bring with Molly? So you can bring the bats, and then you can bring... I haven't tried these yet, but the rabble rousers seem pretty decent. Like, they hit pretty hard.
Yeah, so, and the funny thing here, all the minions have defense 5, and all the enforcers have defense 4. Which feels
yeah, it's
like
kind of
I got that a bit backwards. But, so all these minions are... And the keyword in general, I want to emphasize, is solid. You'll be happy playing it at your club. If you're at the finals of the World Series, maybe don't bring them. But they're all solid. And so the Night Terrors, like that negation aura is great, although they'll tend to die if they use it. The concealment aura is annoying because it punishes your own attacks. But that ability to just scoot around the table. Play Crackbats if you want to play Night Terrors. It's the most fun build you can do with them.
I'll have to try it once, see how I feel about it.
Yeah, they're super fast.
Even if nothing else, I've moved a Night Terror like 20 inches and made it interact with Molly too. Like, it's dumb. It's some pretty incredible ranges. The reason I don't play it competitively is I'm like, oh, do I want to move my Night Terror 30 inches or do I want to move my hanged 20 inches? And it turns out the answer to that question is I want to move my hanged 20 inches. But it's a solid model. It's got a You're Coming With Me trigger I want to give a shout out to as well. Because it's just a good trigger, and you can potentially use it on your own models as well. Is really worth noting. Rabble Risers. These little fuckers... Okay, shout out to Weird. If you folks are considering reworking this keyword, please make Rabble Risers have the same attack as Ronin, and just remodel
that would be
them
cool.
Similar to Ronin.
Please don't.
Built-in ignore armor, I'll take that.
Please
what
don't.
The design of Molly should be is she should be like 2nd and 3rd best at everything. She shouldn't have the best option for anything in particular, but it's really cool when she can toolbox and be like, oh, I'll hire the right model for the right job. And these models as a generic model are fine. Like, the problem with Malifaux at the moment is 6-cost combat minions often aren't worth hiring. But other than that, these are great as a 6-cost combat minion. Flurry, it's a bit demanding on your hand if your entire crew is discarding cards. Yeah. But Flurry is a really good ability. When it flurries, it gains focus. That's awesome. Blade Rush, it does damage. That's fucking great. Critical Strike on its 2/3/4 attack. It might be min 3 sometimes. It has a Daze trigger on its challenge. A fucking Daze trigger on its challenge. Competitively, if you want a stun, you hire Valedictorian for a stat 7 stun. Yeah. But this is awesome. It's still really, really cool.
Yeah, you can get work out of it.
You can potentially use it on Archie if you really wanted to do cheat at fucking 8. It needs an 8 to go off, but if you wanted to cheat an 8 of crows on Archie, he can get pushed without the stun, which is funny. But and challenge itself is another tax, and again, this crew does so much taxing. This model is solid. I've had it on a flank and it soloed an Iron Skeeter, and they sent a Skeeter, I sent a Rabble Riser, and I won the fight despite my model costing less. So it's just a absolutely decent model, and if I'm hiring it, I'm doing something like throwing it on a flank for outflank. If they kill it, well then Papa Archie is coming to claim the flank, and if they don't, I have a cheap model claiming the flank. But why would you hire a Rabble Riser at 6 stones or a Night Terror at 5 stones when you've got a Kruligan at 4 stones?
I know. Well, and here's the thing I found is that when I want to play a game and I want to try and get those models on the table, like the Rabble and then the Bat, I've actually found, and like I said, it's probably not the most competitive thing, but it's still decent. I actually like bringing the Forgotten Marshal when I want to just summon those models and not hire them, because I do like hiring the Kruligans better. So I've actually done that, and I'll usually put Whisper on the Forgotten Marshal. That way you can try to find another crow that way. So, like I said, it's not the most competitive thing, but as far as just because those are really good minions, and if you just want your Forgotten Marshal just to hire one a turn, I found that it's pretty solid.
Yeah, yeah, and that's again I want to emphasize because at one point I tricked myself into believing the keyword was actually bad, right? And I thought, oh, I will play this against new players to show them to give them a fighting chance, and so I'll hire the keyword. So I had my 3 rabble risers, my Philip and the Nanny, that sort of stuff.
And you just beat the bejesus out of them.
I beat the crap out of them. It was like I forgot that. Oh no, these models are solid. They're not trashed here. They just need like a little bit of a tweak if you wanted them to see play, and they're mostly fine casually. Yeah, so they're all and Forgotten Marshal again, and he has that. If we're briefly mentioning him, his gun, one of the best guns in Rezzers. So
shockingly, stat 6, critical strike 235. Like this is.
Yeah, it's
something
solid.
that you don't normally see, yeah.
And don't forget, Molly is one of the best masters in the faction for handing out focus, so...
I also find myself liking models in Rezzers that kind of mock the guild faction. So I like the Forgotten Marshal, I like the guild autopsies. Those are some of my favorite models.
Yeah, and it's worth noting the Forgotten Marshal with Molly too plays so well with her bonus action to draw cards, because you're summoning more models that are then trying to draw cards. Plays really well with it. If you're wanting to do a keyword Molly 2 build, you can be pretty happy with Forgotten Marshal, I think.
Oracle also mentioned that's another teleport point you could bring.
Yeah, that's a big deal. And if we get new enforcers in the new book, that'll be a big deal as
well. If I remember correctly, that was the rumor was every single faction is gonna get double keywords for every keyword in the faction. So like you'll have Forgotten with another keyword in it.
Yeah,
like a model that it's both Forgotten and something else.
Yeah, and if so, we'll hopefully get something. At the moment, Philip and the Nanny, when I hire Philip and the Nanny, this model's ridiculously mobile. Move 5, Deadly Pursuit, so 14 inches a turn
Dixon
already.
thinks it's trash.
It mostly is.
Philip and the Nanny? Absolutely.
It's mostly
he said it
just
mostly
decent.
is.
It mostly is trash. The only thing that this thing is good for is to make other models better, but only marginally better.
Well, one of the thing is there's, especially, a few books ago, I would hire Philip and the Nanny when I need another point. I'll do Hidden Martyrs on Archie and Kruligan, and the plan is for Archie to die. I'm like, late game, who's going to get my Kruligans teleporting to them? I'll hire Philip and the Nanny, because that model, move 5, Deadly Pursuit 4 inches. This model's moving 14 inches by itself. You can charge a friend and use Accidental Rollover for another 5 inches, so that's 19 inches of movement in one turn.
Yeah.
And so that's just, Archie's gonna, my plan is for Archie to die this game because he needs to be doing something so important that he'll eventually die doing it. Philip and the Nanny is then my backup, really mobile model for Kruligan.
Oracle says that he's a second source of depth of gratitude.
Yeah, that's also a really big deal. And the one I have played this model as a control model with one more question. And again, in my casual games, I have just locked down enemy crews. Do the Philip and the Nanny, Rogue Necromancy, Projectile Vomit, one more question combo, and then you've got Molly as well throwing in control. And your opponents will start weeping at how little their models are able to do. It's a fun build. It can be very decent, I think. Yeah.
I mean, Projectile Vomit really does make people sad pandas, so I guess you're right.
Yeah, and those things add up. And that's what Molly's crew was trying to do, is be a control crew. And so I want to emphasize, if Molly's crew ever does get buffed, it really just needs to be gentle buffs and more of fixing the clunk and the fact that everything is defense 4. It does not need a very big buff. This crew would be so broken if you added too much to it.
I did want to point out, you did not mention the Rogue Necromancy in any of your recommendations, but myself, and I think Pete as well, has seen that this is a good model. So are we just not seeing the bad thing? Or
so what I've talked with Maniacal about, and I think I see it a little bit, because it seems less survivable in Molly because it's harder to stack the poison, right? So I think that's the big, you can play it in Molly, and I mean, I think you've seen Dixon, I've done some things with it,
Yeah,
But-
no, not only you, many people. Yeah,
Yeah, but in McMorning, I think it's insane. Like, you start putting upgrades
yeah.
on this thing, and then you're healing after, the end of the turn. Like, it's pretty
Yeah.
nutty. But in Molly, like, there's less support for that poison kind of machine you want to get going with it. I don't know if you agree with that, Maniacal, but I think that's the gist of what you and I have talked about.
Before his answer, Oracle says that Molly 2 can stack it easier, but it's still not great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean it's still doing its ambush every turn, and Molly 2's bonus can make it discard, so it's got a bit of poison. And one thing to be aware of, you want to avoid standing in concealing terrain because you want to discard that card turn 1. Just be conscious. And another thing to note about it is you can use that ambush even if you're engaged, because if it's not engaged, it may move up to 3 inches. But you're allowed to do the italics of the tag so you can still use it. So Rogue Necromancy, it is a powerhouse with that scrap upgrade, because it's defense 5 flurry with Savage Bite, which is stat 6 plus pouncing strike. That's absolutely insane in McMorning. Projectile Vomit stat 5 really is holding it back. If it was stat 6, I would be using it as a control piece more often, especially because it has that built-in slow. Like, that's really, really good.
Because he can concentrate and shoot and be one above your opponent. Is that the logic? Because that's what I assume.
Yeah, that's a big deal, and also just in general makes it a bit easier to land those attacks. And the concentrate on Molly handing it focus and then it doing those blasts would be a really big deal. But again, stat 5 is not great at straight Phillips.
Yeah, and most stuff's move 5.
But its attack, stat 6 plus 3, 4, 5 with puncture, nice. Pouncing strike, stupidly broken. And so this model is solid, but the answer of why I'm not hiring it is why would I hire this over Valedictorian or Anna Lovelace, who are similar levels of mobility, much tankier models, and Anna Lovelace has much worse attacks, but Valedictorian attacks are pretty close to on par with the Valedictorian.
So,
makes 3 of them.
Hard to wound and hard to kill, and being able to heal from poison still don't make this model.
That defense
tanky
4 is
enough for you.
rough, man.
Okay. Is that why?
I found it dude, when you get the opponent's beater just go into this thing, you're like, this is just dead. It's just dying right now.
Yeah, and essentially, because so this thing, it can survive. It can play the Molly playstyle where it avoids the fight.
Yeah.
But this thing isn't that good when it's avoiding the fight. Like, it's just projectile vomiting from a distance, and that's fine, but it's not 10 stones worth if that's all you're doing with it. Although, again, then you'll projectile vomit to soften them up, and then you'll charge in. And you'll have a great game. But if I hire a Valedictorian, that's something I can actually just chuck into the enemy. Or better yet, hanged with GST in the right matchup. And so there, again, like, that's it's that classic case of this model is really solid, but for optimizing the crew for the role that I usually want for it, which is a middle-of-the-field brawler, there's a better models in faction for that.
Okay.
So you now have me buying the title box for Molly. Thank you for that. And
the
with
sculpt
that,
is gorgeous, at least.
I was going to say, and then what you get with that, though, is the Noxious Nephilim. So, have you played this much? And, I mean, do you see any spots for the Noxious Nephilim? Another defense 4 enforcer.
Yeah, and this one doesn't even have Terrifying to protect it, so it's really just taking those wounds. Like, this model is the same as Archie, same cost, but they just dropped the Terrifying 12 in the leap. And so you can see the vast gulf between those models. One thing I do want to highlight, 3, 4, 6. Rezzers really don't have that many models with severe 6 that are good at getting focus and card draw. So that's Molly is super good at fueling this model to do 2 severe 6 attacks in a round, which is great. Regurgitate, drop a corpse marker. It suffers 2 damage, so then it's essentially a 9 health model until its next turn when it regens it back. And a 9 health defense 4 model is not going to survive. But it's one of the most interesting ways to generate a corpse in the crew. So would I try a Noxious Nephilim Bet Noir build if for whatever reason I decide Bet Noir is what I needed for the matchup? Absolutely. If I was desperate for Grave Spirit's Touch Pulse, would I use this as a way to get a corpse? Yeah, sure. I've done that. again, it's never been quite top tier competitive play, but I'll use it. The Memories of Blood, you got to shout out again. That's some card filtering, which is great. And it triggers the discard mechanics of like Archie. That's extra heals. It's extra poison for the Rogue Necromancy. I think one of our viewers just mentioned. Bring It is an awesome ability, and to some degree, this model could fill the same role as a Dead Rider, which I haven't experimented with enough, and it deserves a little bit of one, is that kidnapping enemy models is the bread and butter of Molly. She usually uses Dead Rider Reap to do it, but if you use Bring It to kidnap a model after their entire team is activated and then beat it to death with Archie, they're kind of fucked. So, like, I haven't given this model an honest go, and part of that is because I haven't assembled it yet. And
build your models. Come on, let's go.
I've played it on Vassal a little bit, but when I'm playing Vassal, I'm playing against like some of the top players in the world, so they'll crush me without mercy. But if I build this model, I'm gonna paint it up and I'll play it at the club. I think for sure.
Nice.
Okay.
So I think that covers all the models in Keyword. For the sake of this episode running long, if you want out of Keyword tech, we've talked a lot about how Molly just is good at teching in out of Keyword and versatiles, and that's why we did the out of Keyword and versatile episode before. So in this episode, and then the next episode will be McMorning, you can go back and refer to those tech picks to be looking at where those would be good to bring. So we don't necessarily need to talk about that. I think what will be more interesting is to talk about like all this cool stuff with Molly that we've been discussing. What are some of the strategies that she is really good into, specifically for GG4, and then we'll go into the weaknesses after that. So where do you like, I know you said you could probably put her in a lot of spots, but where does she really shine, Cackle?
Well, one thing I briefly wanted to mention about the Ooks and Versatiles is what she's really good at is Monos Dead Rider Archie is a good default build for her. She does that a bit better than McMorning does, but she's not as good with corpse-based models. So know your Bet Noir, Grave Golem, those types of models. She's not as good with those. Right. So for where I think she's best in GG4, I'm still experimenting with it. But Plant Explosives was in GG0, and it's probably as the best strategy in the game for her potentially. Also, those pools where you think you can do a lot with scheme denial and with placing schemes early game, because she's really good at high tempo scheme games. And so, like, information overload is probably somewhere that I'm looking at her for. And yeah, so that's.
I think also she can be super dirty into Cloak and Dagger because you have the activation control. You wait for your opponent to get their intel markers or tokens, and then you kind of go, cool, now I'm going to teleport a Kruligan in and take that away from you.
I was thinking after I played my last game of Cloak and Dagger, I was like, why didn't I just play Molly? And the Kruligans taking the markers is going to just
infuriate people, make them want to kill you.
This season might be what finally justifies a Kruligan nerf. Although again, please don't nerf.
Please don't touch our Kruligans.
Ideally buff some of the other stuff in the keyword to compensate, and change Kruligans to sidekick potentially could make sense. But so that Cloak and Dagger, the ability to activation control. Last activation, I teleport over and I steal 2 fucking tokens. Yeah, that's just and. Note that even summoned ones can do it, so people have got to do some experimenting with Forgotten Marshal here, because summons, they can't interact the turn they're summoned, but after that they are allowed to steal intel tokens. They can't interact with the markers, but then also I was initially thinking she wouldn't be good at Stuff the Ballots, because that would involve a bit too much fighting, but after I played my first game of Stuff the Ballots recently, I was again thinking, why don't I just play Molly? Because
if you play flank or corner specifically, you really got some wide out pieces.
Yeah, and I think that's a big thing to note with Molly is the deployment zone makes a bigger difference. You can play her on wedge, and she's really solid on it. But when she gets quite insane, it's on corner. I think is really really solid.
It's a bit nutty.
Yeah, and so I definitely say try her out and Stuff the Ballots. Her really big weakness is the stuff where she has to stand and fight, because that's not her specialty. And so Raid the Vaults. She was not good on Guard the Stash. Raid the Vaults, because those back markers are worth 2 points potentially.
It's doable.
Probably doable, especially because she can use that activation control to be like, well, last activation, I knock you off the marker and I claim it.
Yeah, and people will note, though, I think people are going to start doing what Dixon and I well, Dixon's been doing it a bit more than me, but Dixon, you've been leaving a model to guard that back marker, so your opponent has to bring at least 2 to get that point.
Or a beater that can take him out.
Yeah. Like, you put Watson just on that back corner and be like, all right, well, you got to deal with Watson. Have fun.
Yes, yeah. And
with a code.
I mean, I've been finding out that that's actually the most efficient way is just leaving a tanky model in the back or a support model in the back. It doesn't have to be expensive. It just has to be long enough. He has
something
to
that can delay it for a bit.
Yeah, for 1 turn. That's literally all I asked for.
The great thing about Archie, though, is that most models in the game you use for roles like that, he just goes and deletes.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I actually have that in mind when I'm making these the strategies. I have lawyers, because lawyers can discard a card and put negatives.
Yeah, that's a big weakness of Archie is armor 2 and negative flips really fuck with him.
Correct, because he can't do focus.
Yeah, last time I played Dixon when he had lawyers and I brought Archie, I literally sat there and I'm waiting for Dixon to have no cards in his hand. And I'm just like, come on, use your cards. Come on.
And nope. All I'm going to be doing with them is draw cards and give out shielded and try to obey Archie once. Why not?
And there are so many scheme marker schemes in Gaining Grounds 4 that I think that's what makes Molly really powerful, because you can take your models, Crueligans can go drop scheme markers to score, but then when you see your opponent starting to try and score their schemes, you just go by your side back to Molly, remove those, and then just deny whatever they're trying to get. Or I think that's why Plant Explosives is so dirty, because you see your opponent drop their explosive marker, and then you're like, cool, I'm going to teleport, and I'm going to interact to pick that up, and now I'm going to go somewhere else and drop it.
Dude, that is like the dirtiest freaking thing.
It is. She's really good into Plant. It's super good.
Yeah. I call it drop shipping because it's so freaking dumb that, like, oh, Crueligan within 2 inches of some random enforcer. Oh, look at that. I'm just going to interact and be away.
Yeah, and savvy players will be guarding stuff from interacts with engagement ranges. Yeah. But again, you can do Archie bold over trigger, or Archie just comes and kills the thing, and then the Crueligan's like, oh, you don't have spare AP on your 9-stone model? Why doesn't the 4-stone model come in and do the interact?
And also, one of the games I played, there was a test subject that was kind of hanging out with an explosive marker token, whatever they call it, and I basically used the rider to push my Necrotic Machine 10 inches up by the test subject, and then activated the Crueligan, shanked the last point of damage to kill the test subject, got the marker, and then interacted to drop it to score my next VP for Plant.
Oh, so wild!
I was like, "This is amazing."
It's the worst. It's the worst feat, because this is the thing. I've talked about this
feeling? That was the best feeling.
No. Okay, so it is for you. I'm not gonna lie, but like I've talked about this with Harley. I'm not gonna go too much into this, but it's like playing against wrestlers is kind of like a feel-good situation sometimes and a bad situation all the time, because you hit them with everything, but they also hit you with everything.
Yeah, and I feel like the models are just good.
What was that, Cackle?
I was just going to mention, in terms of schemes to avoid, like deathbeds, I don't think she's as good at. Like McMorning's going to be better at that.
Okay.
And snare, the types of scheme marker schemes that require being near enemies, she can do, but again, if your models are near enemies, the way her models survive is by not being near enemies and by dancing around the board. So you want the stuff that involves like being really spread out, like information overload, your I think it's espionage is the one where it's all over the board. Power ritual is ridiculous with her, because with most crews there's a tax to placing the scheme marker. With Crueligans there is no tax because they exist everywhere. And it's ridiculous.
Yeah, so we're talking about all these strengths, what they're good at. What are some weaknesses of the crew? So give some hope to like my buddy Trevor, who plays Molly now quite frequently because I play her. What is some hope where it's like, okay, here's what you need to do that Molly kind of struggles a bit, that you need to kind of focus on when it presents itself?
Yeah, so the times I have the most trouble winning are, again, we mentioned the activation control on other crews. Really messes with Molly 1. Equally mobile crews can be quite scary, and I feel like Lucius is a really good example of that. Lucius will find Archie and hunt him down and kill him, and it sucks.
That's literally, that's been my game plan so far, and it's been good.
Yeah, Seamus will hunt down Archie and kill him, and it sucks. If you're in a pool that can force a fight, do that, and then like take armor reduction or damage reduction, because everything I mentioned about the damage burst, it's Archie hits you with min 3 times, Dead Rider hits you min 3 times, Monos hits you min 3 twice and then min 2 once, and Kruligan, it hits you 4 moderate 3. Everything their crew is doing is spamming
armor
3
2's
damage
good.
attacks, and the crew really sucks at dealing with armor 2 because the only answer is either
away.
big focused hits, which
I feel-
like Noxious Neff isn't great again because it dies.
I
And
feel you're
Disturbing
underselling the beat sticks because most of your crew is gonna have focus except for Archie.
Yeah, but say like a focused Dead Rider into this. Well, I'm often thinking Peacekeeper as well, but like, yeah, as long as you can get. But even say like Izamo, a big focused hit for Severe 5 twice, you need to do that 3 times. Which means you're probably spending
against
like
armor
3
2. You're
Severes
still
plus.
doing 3 damage, and that's not counting like
Yeah.
Soulstone or Shield, like mitigation as well.
Yeah, like
So
I
that
like
guy,
the
you're not doing irreducible damage to a model like Izamu.
no, well, but like if you can do Severe 6 against armor 2, I think that's much better.
Okay.
But again,
Yeah, and
Molly's
most
not
of them do
that good
cap
at
out
doing
at like
Severe
5.
6. Yeah. Whereas like say like Grave Golem is not a model that Molly's great at hiring, but Grave Golem's a great source of Severe 6. I would experiment with a Grave Golem Noxious Nephilim build. Could be cool. And then you've got 2 sources of Severe 6. Definitely worth exploring.
And I know this isn't a weakness necessarily of the keyword Maniacal, but I feel like when the Molly player specifically mispositions, you need to punish the Molly player. So, for example, if I put my Kruligan in an awkward spot or a spot where you can charge and start to kill it, I think you definitely need to punish the Molly player for that because you may not see that Kruligan the rest of the game.
Yeah, exactly. Molly is super unforgiving, and if they misposition a model, like also if they misposition Archie, like he can get bursted pretty quick as well.
So I will say you do have to be careful because, like, just to say what you did, just there, I didn't misposition Archie technically. I was playing against Maul 1 who had the Ruthless upgrade, so I was kind of being like a little standoffish, right, like with her. But I forgot one of Molly's chores that she can do when she cheats the initiative is the mask can move her 3 inches. So that put her in range to charge me and get 3 swings on me. I was like, if he goes, Archie's dead.
yeah. And and like the Ruthless models on Archie that can catch him are annoying. Also, anything that stops melee is real fucking annoying. Disguised is an obstacle, but again, we've got leaps, so we can deal with it. But combat finesse on those freaking mature Nephilim is so rough.
So
Butterfly
good.
jump is a little bit annoying if it's on a Butterfly jump and Scamper are really annoying if they're on a tanky model like First Mate. It's not so good on, like, say, a Silurid, because then the Kruligan just teleports and finishes him off. But yeah, any that stops melee attacks can be really annoying. Although, again, remember, she does have access to Vincent, she's got access to Anna, she's got access to Forgotten Marshal. She can tech some decent guns, but nothing that's, like, overwhelmingly good guns. So that those matchups where you're worried about you have good defenses against melee really helps. And again, the minus flips against Archie helps because you could be Archie and Kruligan are the only models you're guaranteed to see, I think, in any given game.
And off the top of my head, I really can't think of too much more than just normal bad stuff is bad against Molly. Like, other traditional things like putting out stunned and, staggered's probably another thing that kind of can stink in a lot of situations. And, besides
remember,
that,
Archie is immune to conditions, so her
well,
best
that's the
speed
thing,
is
right?
immune.
That's the thing. You got to realize, like, oh yeah, Archie doesn't care.
Yep. I mean, you can technically say that she doesn't have any good henchmen. That's a thing, I guess.
Well, I
Yeah,
also
but
feel
it's
like,
kind of upside because you don't need to
Yeah.
save any stones.
well,
Like
that's
I
what I was
run one
saying,
or
like,
two
you bring
stones.
2 soul stones and you don't care because if you really need them, you can just get more with the Krulgans.
Watch Weird give you like a badass henchman now. I can definitely see them being that spiteful.
Because even if you go out of keyword and bring Manos, Manos doesn't really need that many soul stones either because he can ping things to get suits.
Yeah, and Monos, like, again, Molly's way to keep models alive is to just make it so that you can't hit them.
Yep. Yep, definitely. So, I mean, we got a lot out there with this keyword. Just wrapping it up, Maniacal, what are some like last minute thoughts that you have about the keyword and maybe why you think they should be played more in this gaining ground specifically?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing is that Molly does really flexible and mobile game plan. She's just really good at getting around the board and doing things related to scoring points in the interact action, and that's what this skating ground is all about. And especially, there's now space for where the interact action is limited by engagement again this season, and she has a lot of tricks for that. Molly 2's got her ignore engagement and push models around. Molly 1 has the activation control and some triggers to push models around again. Oh, that's another thing I should mention for weaknesses is laugh off is annoying for her.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
Molly's
guilt sucks.
ability.
Hashtag guilt sucks.
Yeah.
Yay!
But yeah, so is going to be really, really good at just the denial aspect, and that's a key thing to remember for as a player. Is like Molly's good at scoring points, but Rezzers in general are so mobile; they're great at scoring points this season. What she's really like ridiculous at is denying points, and you want to play a really, really strong denial game and put. And again, she's reactive. You got to know how to read your opponent and what they're up to. But if you're able to like look at the game and see, oh, this is how they're scoring this turn, I'm going to say no to that, or make sure there's a model to eat their ski marker or their plant explosives marker or whatever. And yes, part of her denial game is that when you have Archie Monos Dead Rider, you can reach and kill any ski runner in the game, basically. So like, it doesn't matter. Like if they've got, you can't play Silurids into Molly because she eats them. So that's kind of what you're looking to do with Molly is look at a pool and how do I make scoring really, really fucking annoying for my opponent?
I don't want to say.
Don't want to say what?
She actually seems like one of those masters that I should enjoy, but I can't get into the look. I'm sorry.
Dude, I hear that from a lot of people with Molly. They're just like, I just don't like the look of her keyword, which I don't get. I think the kind of zombie lady who got, tore apart by Seamus is kind of cool. And then the Krulgan, these creepy little undead children, they look cool. And then you just have Archie, who's just this big hulking zombie. And
with an ice cream cone.
Yeah, with an ice cream
cone.
cone.
I do love Archie.
And that new iconic
Oracle,
model is sick.
Oracle did say something that I do love. It's the Nightmare crew, the pirate crew.
Yeah, undead pirates.
That I do love. But the thing is that I don't know. I guess I need to just play them looking at those pictures, just looking at the alternative art. Because every single time I see her, I'm just like, I know your story. I know exactly where you came from and how you became a master, and I don't like it. Because I follow her since she was in MV1.
Yeah.
In M1E, she was just a henchman.
Yeah, so I actually like the aesthetic of her keyword, so I'm not in that camp.
Me too. Yeah, that was what initially captured me. She's like the Harley Quinn escaped from Joker of Malifaux.
But I get what you're saying, though, because that's the exact reason why I wasn't planning on playing Von Stuck. But then they came out with the It's Alive box. I'm like, well, now I got to get this. Like,
that's true. That does look great.
It does. I'm excited. I got the card right here. See, Pachow, Frankenstein. Right, it's Igor.
But for those people who love Molly but are worried that maybe she's not good enough, I would say she absolutely is, and you should put in some games, especially Gaining Grounds 4 is going to be one of her
friend of the show, Brian from Texas. I will let you know he's been eyeballing Molly for this Gaining Ground. So Brian is a very top tier player in Texas. So if he's eyeballing the keyword, you might want to give it a go.
Cackle should know. I think It's either I am not innocent or personal glitch. One of those two.
Oh, yes! Oh, that's exciting.
See?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know that Cackle has played against him.
Yeah, for sure. And he's definitely, I've learned things
He's
about
traditionally a
plenty
Von
of
Stuck
crews.
player.
Yeah, I've learned things about Von Stuck and Riva from him, and plenty of
Yep.
other crews as well. And he's a really good player. And the reason I am such a good Molly player is because so many people have given me tips along the way, like the Necrotic Machine tips, like I learned those one by one. Most of the stuff I didn't figure out myself, other than Molly 2 Hank build. I could take credit for that one.
And that's why we're going to actually link that, because I think you have a good kind of, just collection of just thoughts on Molly on the weird. I think it was the Weird forum that you posted it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to link that in here just so anybody that's interested in Molly can read that and hopefully listen to this podcast and get some good ideas on how to run her crew effectively.
Yeah, and if anyone thinks of new things, please do get in
yes.
touch on Discord as Maniacal Cackle, or on the forums as Maniacal Cackle, and I love to hear and discover new play styles with Molly. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, Maniacal's in the Reser weird Discord, and on the Rage Quit Wire Discord, he always pops in, and it's almost like I feel like Edic mentions your name, and you're just like, oh, hey, here's an idea.
Well, hello there.
Oh, man. Well, I think we're going to leave it there, but we are going to, sometime in the next couple of weeks, do a McMorning episode. And I will say I played McMorning 2 days ago, and my brain almost exploded. I played the 100 Poison Turn 1 list, and I was like, my brain hurts after playing this. So I don't know if that's the direction I'm going to go, but it's playable.
Let's not do this again.
I have a fun little preview of McMorning, which is that for so much of this game, I'm like, people are paying too much attention to keyword. With Molly, you're paying too much attention to the keyword synergies. And part of what I'm going to be saying about McMorning is I haven't been paying enough attention to the keyword synergies. There's some really cool shit we should be doing.
Yeah, I found a lot of those in-keyword models for McMorning. Like, they seem like cheap, kind of crappy models, but when you look at specifically the title, because I think that's a little more interesting, just the ability to remove markers to gain profit is insane in those cheap little models. Yeah, gassers are better than people think. That's gonna be my hot take when I play.
That's one of my takes as well. We can't wait to discuss little gassers next time.
Yep. So until next time, though, thanks for everybody listening to Molly. Looking forward to the McMorning. Until next time, make sure that you guys flip cards, flip tables, and we will talk to you all later.